Hi, I'm Pete McCall with the American Council on Exercise, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about training the older adult client. First, we want to define older adult, and that's kind of hard to do, especially for some of us that are getting up in years ourselves. But really, we want to think of the older adult as kind of the over 50 population, or as any adult that qualifies for AARP membership. So keep that in mind. So we're talking about over 50. And when you look at older adults, there are different classifications of older adults. You can have active older adults that have been very active their lives, or you have sedentary older adults that are just starting to get into a fitness program who understand the health benefits of exercise and working out. I remember when I first started training in my 20s, whenever I started working with an older adult client, I was always extremely nervous because I thought of my grandparents and I didn't want to do anything to hurt the clients. And so what I found was maybe I was sometimes taking a little bit too easy on them. We know that one of the basic principles of exercise program design is progression and overload. That in order to stimulate any changes, we need to have our clients do more work than they're capable of doing. Now, first we need to understand what are some things addressing the older adult client. What do they have to deal with in terms of long-term issues? Well, I wrote a couple up on the board here. Big one is sarcopenia, or loss of muscle mass. Now, this has a big effect for both males and females, but one of the big things that we need to look at with our older adult male clients is that sarcopenia is directly related to something called andropause. Andropause is a loss of testosterone. It's predicted, evidence indicates that men over the age of 35 can lose 1 to 3% of their testosterone production per year without any exercise. That's why you see all these commercials for, do you have low T? And they're literally selling legal steroids in order to elevate testosterone levels for older men. So that's one thing to think about, and we can address that through the appropriate application of an exercise program. I'll touch on that in a minute. Another issue dealing with older adults is osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, or loss of bone mineral density, we normally think of women with osteoporosis, but affects men as well. And in order to address that, we need to stress the bone, or the bone mineral density, or the osteoblasts. Because just like muscle gets stronger in response to strength training, bone gets stronger in response to applied stress. Finally, we have movement efficiency. And this really gets kind of the over 60, over 65 adult, because if they're not moving, they lose the ability to control their center of gravity over their moving base of support. We know that one of the biggest issues that older adults face, and I'm thinking over the 65, is falls. And if they fall, it's very likely they're going to injure a hip or break a hip. And then we get a series of cascading negative health consequences from that. So we really need to think of a way that we can address all these issues with our clients. Dynamic balance to enhance movement efficiency and range of motion. We need strength training, because strength training will address both osteoporosis and sarcopenia. And we need to put it all in a system so that we can take an older adult client who's relatively sedentary, start them in a training program that introduces them to exercise, and then progresses them up to the high-intensity exercise. Especially for our male clients that might be experiencing issues from andropause, or that loss of testosterone. Because research shows for both men and women over 50 that strength training, progressive systematic strength training, can add muscle mass just as much as younger adults. They just need a little bit longer in terms of progression for the application of program design variables. Now, the really cool thing is that research also shows that high-intensity strength training that sets a 10 with a 10 rep max, fatiguing by the last rep, or hypertrophy training for bodybuilding is excellent for promoting testosterone and human growth hormone. If you read anything about the older adult market, you know that anti-aging is a $5 billion a year business right now, $5 billion a year plus business. You have people over 50 going to their doctors for shots for testosterone and growth hormone, and in fact, to look younger. Now, the real secret to what we do as fitness professionals is the appropriate application of exercise program design and the appropriate application of the variables. We can produce growth hormone, we can produce testosterone in our clients with strength training and with power training. That's right. The research indicates that high-intensity strength training and power training can not only boost lean muscle mass, but it boosts the endocrine system, which boosts testosterone and growth hormone production. The issue is, though, we can't just take an older adult client and throw them into a high-intensity workout. There has to be a systematic progression of the intensity in order to get them there. When we look at the top strength coaches in the industry, when we look at the Mike Boyles, the Mark Verstegens, the Dos Remedios, all the top strength professionals in our industry have a systematic application of the program design. They just don't throw their athletes into a program and hope that it works. They have a systematic application of that. So what we recommend the American Council on Exercise is that you follow a program that addresses stability and mobility first, where we work on joint stability, we work on mobility. So we can do this with any client, whether they're younger or older, but it's really important for older adults to address stability and mobility because that leads to movement efficiency. Once we address the stability and mobility of the joints, we can start working on the movement efficiency through the 5 basic patterns of exercise program design: squat, lunge, push, pull, and rotation. Once we improve movement efficiency, then we can start applying the program design variables for strength training, hypertrophy, and power. That's the stuff that's the real secret sauce to helping clients stay looking younger and fitter as they age. And there's a story I have because I live in Southern California. We live in San Diego here. And I was hanging out with some buddies, and we went out for a little mountain bike ride. And I like to put in about 10, 12 miles, about an hour and a half mountain bike ride. And we're riding with this one guy, and it turned out to be his birthday. We were done with the ride, and we were hanging out, and somebody was saying happy birthday to him. And I'm like, cool, man, how old are you? And I thought he was in his 40s. I thought he was like maybe mid-40s, late 40s or something like that. 65 years old. The dude was 65. And it amazed me because he looked so young. He looked 20 years younger than he was. And in talking to him, he exercises vigorously 5 to 6 days a week. Running, hiking, mountain biking, weightlifting. So empirical evidence or anecdotal evidence shows that high-intensity training for older adults is the fountain of youth. Scientific evidence in the literature, especially in this Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research, backs that up. William Kramer has done plenty of research to show that high-intensity strength training really produces testosterone and growth hormone. So if you're looking a way to really help your older adult clients, especially your older adult males that might be suffering from andropause or lost testosterone, think about a systematic application of exercise program design. First, we got to train stability and mobility. Then we have to address movement efficiency. Then we can get into force production, strength training, and power with velocity of force production. That's the cool stuff. So hopefully this gives you a couple ideas about how you can work with your older adult clients. I'm Pete for the American Council on Exercise. Have a great day.